Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Our focus today is on two outstanding organizations that support individuals who have experienced traumatic situations in their lives and are working to get on the right path to make profound changes in their lives. Trauma can be caused by an overwhelmingly negative event that causes a lasting impact on a person's mental and emotional stability. Some common sources of trauma include rape, domestic violence, the death of a loved one. The list goes on. And my first guest is Rhonda Zolecki. She serves as the executive assistant to the president and CEO of Lad Lake, an organization that's been around for 150 years. How are you, Rhonda?
Excellent. How are you?
I'm doing
it's great
well.
To see you again.
Always good to see you. And I should say welcome back to the show. You came on a couple of years back,
yes.
And we've got you here talking about some new things that you're involved in. So start off telling us more about Lad Lake and what it is you guys do there.
We have several different programs that we do there. Our mission statement is to guide the growth of at-risk youth in order that they reach their potential and live responsibly. Mm-hmm. So all of our programs form main core programs, and then one particular aspect of what we do is geared toward that mission of helping youth who are living in crisis, youth who are or have experienced challenging situations in family atmospheres or traumatic situations inside and outside the home. So mm-hmm. Lad Lake is pretty much an all-around community-based, trauma-informed, family-focused organization.
All right, that's in a nutshell.
Yes.
And I was talking about traumatic experiences that, really could affect a person, but you don't necessarily have to experience being a part of an event. You really could watch it from afar and still deal with the after effects of that as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We actually have a system internally that helps some of our counselors who deal with people who've been through trauma. Mm-hmm. There's vicarious trauma that people experience, meaning that they're helping someone who's been through trauma, and then the trauma kind of transfers onto them. Oh. So I think all of us at one point or another in our lives have experienced that, maybe have not known it. Mm-hmm. But yes, that's very, very true.
Yeah, so at Lad Lake, 95% of the youth in your care, like you said, come from a family in crisis who are unable to support the needs of the youth. And you guys actually refer to Lad Lake as the emergency room of the child welfare system. That's saying a lot. What does that mean?
Well, we actually provide, and I know we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but mm-hmm. we provide support services to youth who are aging out of foster care. Mm-hmm. What a lot of people do not realize is that 40% of youth who do not receive the support and care that they need once they age out of foster care become homeless within a 2-year period. Wow. So Lad Lake provides those support services that they have, at most cases, have never had. So a lot of things we take for granted, like paying rent, job interviews, being prepared for job interviews, putting resumes together.
Mm-hmm. Even having a bank account,
correct.
Right? Yeah.
Budgeting your money, making sure that you're not spending too much, which quite frankly I still have trouble with. But we provide services to help those youth be able to sustain living. And like I said, these are things that they have never experienced in a lot of these cases. So we help youth find that stability that they've never had once they've aged out of foster care.
Okay, so really giving them the life skills
correct.
That they need. And there's so many purposes that you serve. Support for foster kids, mentors for troubled youth, and even a safe haven for exploited and abused girls. So like I said, you're serving a lot of different purposes for a lot of different people. And you have 4 core program areas which fall under education, independent living, as you mentioned, right. outreach, and residential services. So talk about a few of the programs and services that you guys are offering.
Well, the residential services actually help youth who are in crisis. Mm-hmm. So we cater to a lot of county programs. For example, Waukesha County will refer a youth to us who is living in some sort of crisis situation, and we provide them with mental health care and support services for up to 5 days. Okay. Milwaukee County sometimes will refer youth to us who are in that similar situation, and will provide 20 days of care for them. That's the residential program. The out-of-home care program is really an individualized program in terms of supporting and helping the family unit. So we try to find ways to make sure that families that are in crisis or families who are experiencing a lot of trauma have the support and care that they need in terms of mentors, learning those independent living skills that they may not have had access to in their own lives, because as we know, trauma has a tendency to be inherited. So we support the family. We also have education services. We have an alternative school that's called Synergy South, where we help youth who have challenging situations in terms of being able to keep their grades up in school, or they're experiencing some kind of trauma at home. And then the independent living, which I mentioned before, in terms of providing mentoring and support services to youth who are aging out of foster care. And I mean, there's a myriad of things that go into helping those youth, but helping them find a job, helping them find a place to live, making sure that their rent is paid on time, and providing aftercare services. You know, it doesn't end once they reach a certain age and then all of a sudden we, split and don't do anything. We're there for people who come into our program pretty much for life.
Most of the programs and services, do they have to be based on referral?
Not all of them.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Some of the services can be based on someone calling and saying, I need help.
Okay.
We have one particular success story out of many success stories that we have at Lad Lake from a gentleman by the name of Larry Davis, who aged out of foster care and was homeless for a period of time, was stuck in the court system, and just didn't really know what to do with his life, and came across Lad Lake in a neighborhood setting where he used to live, and started to gain some skills in terms of having the support and mentoring and job access, being able to look for a job. We had, have computers at our center where people can come in and look for jobs. And we provided him with the services that he needed to be able to get the help that he needed at that time.
Sometimes that's all people need is a resource.
Exactly.
So, kind of put them in the direction of what it is that's going to help them with whatever they need, and they just go from there, right?
Exactly,
yeah,
yes.
That's what it's all about. And Rhonda, of course, I've known you for many years, mainly based off of your musical background.
Yes.
But during those years and knowing you and talking to you, you have always been so candid about your own personal story and been willing to share it with other people to help make a difference in their lives. So if you would talk about a little bit of your journey, what you went through as an individual, and why it's so important for you to share that story.
Absolutely. I was sexually assaulted as a youth, and at the time I didn't really realize the magnitude of what had happened to me. I think I found a really safe place to kind of hold it down for a lot of years until I left to go to college. I went to music college, Berklee College of Music, and music was really my outlet, but I think I used music in a very unhealthy way to deal with my problems. As we know, in the music industry, can be a lot of unhealthy behaviors, drug taking and drinking, which I participated in. And I started to become very angry and very upset with authority, problems with jobs, problems with trying to be able to really hold it together in my head and not really knowing what was wrong with me, knowing that I was a good person, but I just couldn't tap into who that person was. And it wasn't until I got help in my early 30s and had learned where all of this anger and all of this angst and anxiety was coming from that I started to really connect to what it was that my purpose was supposed to be. So without getting into a lot of detail about what happened to me, I can tell you that it is very, very common for a lot of people to deny that they've been sexually assaulted and go through a myriad of emotional and mental problems and not be able to make the connection between that and their assault. That's the biggest challenge that I've found in this, and that's in my journey right now. That's why it's so important for me to be at Lad Lake and also to understand how music now can be used in a therapeutic setting to help people properly deal with their problems in a functional way.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that, but I have so much respect for you being able to even share that with people who you don't know. You don't know anything about what they think. You know, there's no judgment. You're just letting it be what it is, and it's therapeutic for you.
Right.
And at the same time, you have no idea when you're telling that story how you're helping someone else. So it's really.
And I think it's important to point out that I really want to let the viewers know, because I know that there's people who are watching who are survivors or even potentially in a victim state, that when I talk about it, even though it seems like that it's coming out so freely and easy, it's difficult. I become very anxious and very shaky. I almost relive the experience when I'm speaking it. And I want to make sure that viewers who have gone through this understand that that is normal, that that is a part of the process of healing, and that it's not that they necessarily have to tell the story to the whole world, but they do need to be able to validate within themselves what happened.
All right, and so I find it very amazing, I guess is a good word, of how things happen in divine order, I would say.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, absolutely.
Because in the journey of you telling your story, that's how you ended up at Lead Lake. So tell us more about that.
Well, music ended for me. I don't necessarily want to say end, but the professional aspect of it, in terms of the performing, I stopped doing as frequently as I used to do it. And I was looking for another place and began doing some public speaking about what had happened with me, which really took off quite quickly. A friend of mine who I used to work with at a job had recommended that I speak at an event for Lead Lake. It's a gala that we have every year called Bright Lights, Big Dreams. And she had suggested in 2015 that I be the speaker for that event. So I came and I spoke, and I never really know exactly what you said, what the impact is going to be. I know what it means to me, but I'm not quite sure how it affects people in the audience. And I was crying and could hardly see my speech, but everybody was really, really touched by it and gave me a standing ovation. And shortly thereafter, 2 months after, I was working at Lead Lake. So, yeah.
And so with your own experiences, you are able to relate to a lot of the kids, or I should say young people. Not all of them are kids. Some of them are almost adults. And so we'll say young people who come through.
You can call me a young person too. If you want to.
We're all young people.
That's right. Absolutely.
So you really are able to relate in a different way. Do you find yourself trying to explain to others who may work there what a young person may be going through?
Yes. I have spoken with people about that. But I think the impact really comes into play when you're actually talking to someone who's been through it. I know even at my age now that the difference between speaking with someone and telling someone your story who's never experienced it, but then telling someone else what you went through and what you experienced, and then seeing them go, oh, yep, and being able to validate that what you went through was normal is huge. So while I do help the staff, some of the staff learn those things, I'm more really in tune to how it's affecting the youth who've been impacted by sexual assault.
That's great stuff, and I really do appreciate you sharing your story with us. This fundraiser that you have every year that you spoke at, that really brought you to the attention of the people at Lead Lake, that's coming up in September, right?
It is. Thursday, September 21st is our Bright Lights, Big Dreams Gala. You can find out information about our Bright Lights, Big Dreams Gala by going to our website, which is www.ladlake.org. And when you go on the front screen, the first slider that shows up is our Bright Lights, Big Dreams Gala. You can click on that and register to buy tickets. You can buy a table. You can provide sponsorship. We would love to have you. We provide scholarships to youth in our program. It's a very inspiring, emotional story that really wakes up a lot of people to kind of the hidden things that are going on in our community that we can all be a part of making better.
Yeah. Real quick, you talked about attending Berkeley, I should say graduating from Berkeley. There is a difference. So,
well, I attended Berkeley.
Okay.
I did not graduate.
Okay. So still, even getting accepted to Berkeley and really even attending and taking part in what happens there.
Yes.
It's a prestigious
It is.
School of Music. So it says a lot. And you love music. You've talked about how it has made a difference in your life. So now you're inspired to go back to school
Yes.
and incorporate music therapy into what you're doing with the young people at Lat Lake. So
Yes.
this is all divine order, in my
It is.
opinion.
Oh, I agree with you.
You know, experts say that music therapy is outside the box when compared to routine physical therapy or prescribed medicine.
Yes.
So just as we wrap up, talk about the importance of music and how you want to use it to help people.
Well, I've just registered for my classes at Alverno College, and most people
right.
don't know Alverno is the only school in the state that offers a degree in music therapy, and it's 10 minutes from my house, which is fantastic.
Divine order.
Oh yeah, totally is. But music obviously in my own life has been very therapeutic, but what a lot of people do not understand is that music is therapy for everyone. It doesn't even matter what type of trauma or happiness or good time or bad time that you've been through. We all have experienced moments where we've heard that one song that we either have to turn off because we're crying too much, or we turn up because it does something for us. We get goosebumps. Those are all mental reactions to what you hear in music. And a lot of times, in a lot of studies that have been done with youth who've been through trauma, it's been shown that a lot of times music therapy is better than traditional medicines that have been used to help anxiety disorders, even for older people with Alzheimer's. So everything, as you said, in divine order makes perfect sense that this would be something that I would be doing. I actually feel more passionate about this than I did about performing. So I'm really, really excited.
Well, I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Continued success. Thank you for stopping by,
My
sharing
pleasure.
your story, and of course telling us about all the great things happening at Lat Lake.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Rhonda Zolecki, she is the Executive Assistant to the President and CEO at Lat Lake. For more information on anything that we've discussed, visit latlake.org or call 262-965-2131. When we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we'll learn about an organization that works daily to provide women and children with a safe family setting where they learn personal accountability, life skills, parenting skills, and goal setting. We'll find out more about Nia Imani Family Incorporated right after this.